Conferences, let's talk.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. When I think about conferences, number one, what a great opportunity. Like we were just talking about, I count my blessings, and going to events is definitely one of them. It's a great reward. And I really like the point that you made about volunteering, because a lot of times these events are cost prohibitive. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. I mean, I've seen some that are close to $5,000, and that doesn't include travel and expenses. So,
right,
volunteering is a great option. There's a local one in Minnesota called Minidemo that I always volunteer at to get in for free, because otherwise it's $100 with my own cash.
That's fantastic.
Okay. Yes. And the other thing that I always talk to people about, because there's so much like you're going there to learn, it's, maybe there is some organized training elements or some classroom learning, but usually it's like ideas in the hallway. It's ideas in the classroom. It's ideas in the training, the keynotes. There's ideas coming at you from everywhere. Expo Hall is another great one. Like everyone's got good ideas, and it can be overwhelming. You'll have a million ideas. You'll hear a million more. So what I always try to tell people is to try to remember one thing that you can take back, that you can apply regularly, or something that you, or, maybe you're an overachiever, 2 things or 3 things, but limit that scope so that, these are the 3 things I want to explore with my team. I want to talk to my leaders about, I want to talk to my colleagues about, and see what's going to stick.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny, Matt. I love that. When we were talking about this before, kind of banging out this idea and going, what can we contribute? And then it was like, oh, wait, we've both been to a ton of conferences, because that's where I always run into you, right? I run into you at, and they're all different conferences, but they're same. There are a couple common themes to them, right? Tons of energy, really amazing energy, gazillions of ideas. And you walk away going, it's like that buffet, right? I want all of it. And then you're too full and you can't appreciate it. So when you mentioned that idea of, I just want to, I got to keep focus of what's that one. I always think of the city slickers. Jack Palance, right? What's your one? And that, like, what's your one thing? And I always see like him sitting on the horse with there's just one thing. But when you said that, so you had a person actually tell you that, and they would quiz you afterwards. What's your one thing?
Yeah.
They would, interview you?
Yeah. Ian Aitchison, I think he works for Next Thing now, but he was working for Landesk at the time. And he would actually corner me at events. And he did it at this last one at Pink Elephant. He cornered me and said, what are your 3 takeaways?
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yes. It just helps me reflect. And then the other one that Chris Dancy kind of taught me is that you don't have to go to everything, which,
back to the buffet, right?
Yeah. And as someone who speaks at events and attends events, I can tell you that it feels bad to not get all the value and try to maximize and maximize and maximize. But just like taking on too much at home, taking on too much at an event can be too much. You need to be aware of your introvert and your sloppy extrovert and your you need to take what you need mentally, because especially now with remote work, to go from being a remote worker to seeing 1,000 of your best friends in one place.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that aspect. Because it's like the supercharge. I was just speaking with Mary Scotton on this, and another huge set of conferences, right? There's there's knowledge and there's support world, and there's the Salesforce. There's just huge, and that window that we're hitting now is just like, I'm going from, we talk like this all the time, to now we're all in each other's faces. And that kind of will make that decharge or need to bring it down even more imperative. I used to do at a lot of the conferences, because I'm like you were talking about, I'm an introverted extrovert. I love speaking and meeting people and all of that, but I will push it until I am burnt. And then I'm like, I can't. And Casey used to always she's like, you're like a hot mess for 2 days when you come back from them. You're like, you're all charged. But I would do, it kind of comes back to the one idea that you were talking about from that you and Ian would do. I almost feel like it'd be a worthwhile tip to say, partner up and afterwards debrief. Because I used to do that with Casey. Like every time we come back from, I'd call her at the conference and go, hey, and she would help me focus in, and she would be like, what's that? So what are you doing with this? And I never thought about it, but it's kind of like what you're talking about. What are your two takeaways, or what are your three takeaways? Someone else that went that you can compare just three notes may be a way to make it stick. But then there's that get that vision to hide. Do you ever, how do you sneak out? Do you do the Irish goodbye? Do you know the Irish goodbye?
I don't know the Irish goodbye.
Ah, the Irish goodbye is fantastic. So the Irish goodbye, when the events are big and there's going to be a thing, you go in early, and you usually this involves you got to buy like a round of drinks or several, because it's an Irish goodbye, of course, and not to, but you go, let's do it, and then a big cheers, slasha or a toast or whatever, something to get the conversation started that's somewhat discussive. And everyone remembers that you're there because you were the first person who got everybody talking, and then you slide out the door. And like 8 hours later, people will talk about the story and the party and the whatever, and you went to bed it's so hard to do because you want to stick. But if you get out a little bit, then, and I could be, you can laugh because I'm the old guy, right? I would do that and sneak out and take notes of the conversations that I'd had. That's when I would like sift in all the stuff. But then that's how I could also make a conference that was 3 or 4 days of like, mind bending. And yeah. So what's your sneak out techniques?
For me, it's focus on what I really need to be there for, things I can't get somewhere else. And
Okay.
the invention of ChatGPT is just going to make this more prevalent.
Wow. Yeah.
If a topic looks like something that I can Google, I'm probably going to avoid it. But if there's a session in the morning that I need to be at, I'm going to be there because I'm a morning person. And so it's knowing that sort of detail. I'm a morning person. I get tired in the afternoons. I can stay out late or I can't stay out late. Knowing what works for you in those moments is really where you need to focus and pay attention, because it could be that you do just, I'm not going to make it past 8. I'm going to go to the networking party. I'm going to go to the conference party. I'll have a lemonade or an adult beverage, depending on what you need.
Yeah.
And then, take what you need. And then, maybe 8 o'clock, maybe you are going to bed. And yes, it sounds really lame to go to bed at 8 o'clock when there's 1,000 of your friends nearby, but you will be able to connect with them better. You will be your best self. You will connect the ideas and the information and the people that much better if you are fully there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that makes a great session for these takeaways, right? So we've got target your takeaways. Going in, target your takeaways. I want this information. 2, when you're done with those, follow up with someone to write down and clarify those takeaways. Find a accountability partner and go, hey, these are mine. What are yours? And kind of keep them tight, because the whole problem or challenge to the conference is there's so much. You got to target those meals at the buffet that you want the best. And then the third, know yourself to know where you need to give the breaks. And then even if you have to create like rules or ways to force those breaks, I've done that too. I remember a lot of times I would do I have to call, and I would call Casey and say, I'm going to say goodnight to the kids. And she'd be like, well, I know you're doing that. I'm like, yeah, I know that too. But it's day 2 of a 4-day conference. And if I don't crash tonight, I'm not going to make the big one, the big event that's the last day. So know yourself and then force plans in for yourself to get that break away. So I think those are 3 perfect takeaways from this session. And I hope that other people pull from them. So we also had Ian Aitchison as a person to it was your key person. I was just talking about Carlene, and it's funny, I keep on saying it's Carlene Carter. And she's got a great post that she just posted about this on her website, Smart Carlene. But it's like how to prep for conference stuff. But she's talking about knowledge, but I think it's conference season, right? So this stuff is valuable everywhere. So I hope that these are 3 good takeaways, right? Target, follow up to take the notes, and strategically get some downtime so that you can get the most out of it.
Precisely.
That's perfect. Well, sir, this has been awesome. Hopefully we'll get the recording out of it and we'll share it around, and we'll see what people get out of it.
Cool.
So.
Yeah.